This is the Be the Solution podcast with your host, Maria Quattrone. Today, we welcome Pat Lopez of Queen Oak Mortgage. Pat started as a loan officer in 1998 and has been in the business for the last 26 years. His current book of business is residential loans, but through the years, he's done commercial, subprime, and he's pretty much seen it all. He's also done some real estate development, about 20 plus flips, and converted warehouse and multi-family properties into condos throughout his career. He started his weekly podcast in February of 2023, The Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. And that show is everything real estate. So welcome, Pat Lopez, to Be the Solution podcast.
Thanks, Maria, for having me on the show. Very excited to be on the show, and I've seen a bunch of your podcasts. I was waiting for the invitation.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today, Pat. I'm excited to talk to you. So we have a lot going on in the real estate world right now.
Absolutely.
And so I'd like to get your take on it.
Well, 2023 was a slow year. I mean, we're looking at the amount of transactions from 2021 at 6.5 million, which, hit the high, and then, steadily going down to, maybe about 4 million, 3.94 million transactions in 2023. The industry just took an overall hit. It doesn't matter if you're a realtor, if you're a loan officer. The bottom line is there's, less transactions going on. Affordability with rising sale prices, rising interest rates. It was just a strain on everybody. But like anything else, like you mentioned, I've seen the subprime market. I've seen, 2008, 9, 10, when the market was really down and slow. And back then that you had about 4 million transactions, so I've seen bad times, I've seen good times. And, if you bring value, you just have to, put your head down and, weather through it.
So you've been around in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. And what do you think outside of the subprime mess that occurred there? What do you feel the difference is in buyer sentiment today?
I think back then it was fear. The economy was drastically different. We're talking about 10% unemployment rates, where we're at 3.6, 3.7 today. We had a ton of foreclosures. There was a ton of inventory. You're talking about 4 million properties for sale at any given time, and we're about 500, 600,000 on the market today. So back then, I think it was fear, what's going on in the market, the economy overall, high unemployment, foreclosures, things like that. Today, I feel it's more of a frustration of, can I buy a house? There's an unbelievable pent up demand with, what they call, household formations, the 33 to 36 year olds out there. And if you go back to 1990, that's going back to 33 years, the birth rate was really high, and it was that way for 5 years straight. So you have that pent up demand where people are having difficulty being able to afford a home, because when you have limited inventory, rising housing prices, rising interest rates, it's difficult just to be able to buy a house. And the people who are in the position to buy a house, there's competition on those homes. So there's multiple offers. Now, understand, real estate is local, so some areas may not be experienced the same thing as we do, maybe here in Philadelphia or the counties or South Jersey. Those markets are all a little bit different, but I see frustration in the market. The lack of inventory, people want to keep that 3% interest rate, and they're not listing their homes. So I think the biggest difference is frustration today, fear in 2008.
Frustration, yeah. I do see there's a lot of frustration. I also see that there's definitely a different world than then too, right? We have things are so much more expensive than they were back then. Just, clothes and food and restaurants.
Right.
I mean, everything is at least 25% more. It's pretty crazy.
No, without question. Without question.
I think there's world problems, right? There's all the stuff happened in the Middle East, and then Russia, Ukraine, and that, we are in a different world. It's kind of a little unsettling. And I do think that since we don't live in a vacuum, that does have an impact on people's psyche, and that does trickle down into the real estate.
Without a doubt. I mean, everything impacts everybody's lives. So if you feel good and you have money saved, you're having a good income, you're thinking about, potentially buying a house if you don't own one, or you're saying, hey, you're a move up buyer. Hey, let me sell this house and let me move up to my dream home. When times are tough or there's an uncertainty in a market, you to cling on to cash and say, let me just, stand still and hold put and, to see what the future is going to bring. So without question, and that dynamic always affects, everything that happens all around you affects everything that you do. And real estate, is not exempt from that.
No, it is not. I was at a party last night, holiday party, and people asked, I said, it's not just rates. Rates already come down, right?
Right.
Basis points in the last couple of weeks or so.
Right. So
that has not moved the needle.
Right. Well, because there's a couple things. So interest rates have dramatically come down, but the negative stuff always hits the news and it's clickbait. So the fact that interest rates were at 8.25 6 weeks ago, everybody was talking about it, and you didn't tell one person, you told 20 people. Well, now rates have drifted down where I've locked some people in at 6.5. So we're talking about almost 2 full percentage points down. But yes, that good news isn't out there. And it's our job as loan officers, as realtors, is to have the conversation to everybody who's out there who, were on the sidelines because they're waiting for rates to come down, to say, hello, rates have come down. You may want to relook at the market to see what your new affordability is, because ultimately affordability is an issue. So if you turn around and you can only afford $2,500 a month, but interest rates at 7.75 or 8% is pricing you out of the market, well, maybe now it's not. And it's us having those conversations, telling people and educating people, saying, hey, these interest rates are starting to come down. The Fed has basically said they're going to stop increasing the rates, and they're talking about cutting rates. So these conversations need to be had. And it's also just the time of the year. When you're talking about wintertime in the Northeast, people tend to, wait for the spring market because, they don't want to deal with snow. They don't want to deal with holidays, those kind of things. So it's just a historically slower time anyway. But our job right now to have those conversations with 10, 20, 30, 40 people to let them know, to get them in line to, hey, now January's here, New Year's resolution, I got a tax refund, whatever the case is, to say, hey, let's go out there and start looking.
Absolutely. Well, what people realize is that there's more competition in the spring.
Without question.
So
Yeah.
There will be more buyers in the marketplace. It's something, it's interesting you brought is why, the new household formations and the very large number of births that happened in around 1990, which makes it 33 years old. So the same thing happened for the last time around when in 07. So if you look at the birth rate in like the early 1970s, it dropped dramatically due to Roe versus
Correct. And we don't know if 100% the tie, but yes. But it just so happened that came about and birth rate went down. Yeah.
It so happened. So
right.
I think there might be some correlation there. Right? You have lower births, you have less people in that prime age to buy.
Correct.
And so there's going to be less buyers. In this case, there's more buyers because there's more people. So it creates that demand. We know that there's 4 years of less inventory than we need, than we require for the new household formations.
Right. And
Philadelphia County or metro market.
Right. And depending on, what head you speak to, it's anywhere between 2 million to 6 million more houses to create balance. Because right now you're talking an average, maybe 2 to 3 months nationwide that it takes to sell a house, where what is considered a balanced market is around 6 months worth of inventory. So we're under that. So sellers have the advantage. There's more buyers than sellers, and with interest rates dropping, the statistic that NAR came out with was for every 1% interest rates drop, 5 million more buyers can now qualify to buy a home. So we just had about a 1.5 drop in interest rate. So we're going to see, and right now, just because it's right around holiday times, that kind of thing, we may not see that big push, but I guarantee you come January 1 with the New Year's resolution and people finding out that, hey, these interest rates are in the sixes now, as long as they stay there, you're going to see an influx of buyers, coming into that market. And right now, in my opinion, is the best time to buy before that happens. Because if there's 10 more buyers for every house or 3 more buyers for every house, that's just going to drive the housing prices up. Right now, houses are still in the market in Philadelphia a little bit longer, and you may be able to get your best deal now. Because like you said, once the spring market comes and more buyers are in the marketplace, that's going to drive and historically that's what happens.
Yes, it does. So what are you saying to other folks in the business? I mean, I know you've had your show for now almost a year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you talk to somebody expert in the marketplace or an up and coming person on a weekly basis. So what types of things have you heard lately, Pat, that are noteworthy to you want to discuss?
Well, I mean, for me, anytime there's a down market, I take that as an opportunity, because the reality is, realtor or being a loan officer, there's too many of us in the business. It's just the reality. You're looking, as far as realtors, there's approximately 1.6 million. That's just in NAR. And that's not, there's other people that are not affiliated that are agents as well. Well, in 2019, 2018, closer to 1 million, realtors. So why is there so much if we're on sales of 4 million transactions, which is closer to the transactions of 2008? So there's too many of us in the market. And the same thing with loan officers. There's too many of us in the market. So for me, I take that as an opportunity, because in 2008, I grew my business. As people were getting out of the market, well, a realtor who was a referral partner, who wasn't a referral partner that I wanted to, person up, maybe their loan officer got out of the business. And it gave me an opportunity. So the key is conversations. Talking. The more people you talk to, the more things are going to happen, whether it be, buyers, sellers, realtors. It's whoever your sphere is having these conversations and being out there. So what I've done for the past year, I've done nothing but have more conversations with realtors, clients, everybody. It doesn't matter. Anybody in real estate, having those conversations. And where in the loan officer side, in the mortgage side, we're off about 50%. I'm actually, and because we're just finalizing the numbers being in December, I'm actually this year than I did last year. But the average person did 50% less. So it's just being out there, having those conversations, working. It's just the basics, blocking and tackling. You have to have conversations. You have to be out there.
So do you keep a daily schedule and a calendar block schedule?
Yes. I mean, there's stuff that we do that is a little bit different. And I'll give this an example. If I go talk to a realtor and say, I'm the best loan officer in the world, I'm going to close your deals. Well, the realtor's going to turn around and say, well, what were you going to tell me? You were the worst loan officer and you're going to close my deals? They expect the fact that you're competent and you're going to close their deals on time. There's no revelation there. Of course you're going to close your deals on time. Nobody goes in there and saying, hey, flip a coin, I may not close your deals on time. No, you're going out there. If you're a good loan officer, you're going to turn around and say, listen, I'm going to close your deals on time. I'm, a great loan officer. But now give me something more. Where is your value? It's expected you to be able to close the deals on time and being a good loan officer. Where's that value? And then that's what we try doing, is going over and above with value. And, we have a ton of education. I go out and speak at all different real estate offices with, market trends, going over, different programs that are out there. So it's the education part of it. It's part of, we really look into our CRM and we follow up with all our past clients, which they're not past clients, they're my clients. And we have conversations with them 4 times a year. And we always ask for referrals, but we also give things of value where we give them a $500 coupon if they need to refinance, or if they're going to buy a second home, whatever the case is, or they could give it to a friend, family member, or coworker. And then when I'm mining our database, now I'm turning around and I'm giving back my realtor partner a referral back to them. So I'm helping them data mine and get referrals. So not only am I saying, hey, I'm a good loan officer, I'm closing my deals on time, and I'm constantly giving communication and updates, but I'm also working to get you business as well. Or you're doing an open house. Here's paperwork, all for open house, beautiful marketing material for that. So it's not just being a good loan officer. If I'm a realtor, I'm expecting that. It's like you going on a listing appointment and say, hey, let me list your property, because I'm the best. I'm going to market. I'm going to do this. Well, yeah, that's what the seller is assuming, that, yeah, you're going to market. You are good. Well, not only is that, we're looking how to have a relationship of where I'm able to give business back. So those are the things that we're doing that are a little bit out of the box. Plus, we have, we have all the programs, but we're really big first-time home buyers. We have some really unique products when it comes to them. For our move-up buyers, especially when the rates are higher, we have great ARM products, which are about 2% lower, standard 30-year, fixed. So I have a lot of move-up buyers in the $800,000, $1 million range, $500,000 that are opting to do some of these ARM programs because they believe interest rates are going to fall and they'll refinance in the future, but they don't want to pay that premium for that 30-year fix. So the combination of us marketing ourselves, having conversations, having some unique products, working with our referral partners to help them be successful, all that goes all hand in hand. And those are some of the things that we're doing to make that difference and to do better than what we did last year.
I think that very few people have done better than they did the year before. So it all comes down to making conversations. We just got done our business planning, and it was very simple. How many sides do you want to close? What do you want to earn? Here's how many contacts you need to make in order to get there, and then how many weeks you're going to work a year, and here's what you need to make a week. Here's what you need to make a day, and focus on winning the day. Just focus on winning today, not the week, not the month, not the year, only today. Put the work in today, and if you win every single day, that's it.
Exactly right, and that's, we do the same thing. It's phone calls, constant communication. Going out talking to people, telling people, educating, what's out there, just spreading the word, telling as many people. I just shot out an email to over 200 people saying, if you're a realtor, you need to call your clients. If anybody on the sideline waiting for rates to drop, they've dropped, and then you showed them an article that just came out today so they could look at it saying, hey, interest rates are below 7% and they're expected to continue dropping. So, that's all we're doing is preaching, letting everybody know, that, real estate's good. And we also have this really, really unique flyer that goes for the current, and it shows over year appreciation. And it shows you in the past 70 plus years, there's only been 6 times that the housing prices haven't appreciated in that specific year. And we send that out to our clients too, people who are on the fence. And that's really powerful. When you see from 1942 to current, and there's only 6 times that the real estate market took a loss in a specific year, it's really impressive. And it adds up decades of saying, hey, increased, that year, 50% that year. Real estate is a great opportunity, and that's how people create generational wealth.
It is. First time you have to get in the game. So I tell everybody, don't opt for getting, the perfect house. Get the house that makes the most sense for you financially. Know that, when the rates adjust down, that you can refi the property, and over time, real estate goes up. So when, you stay there a few years and then you have enough equity, you move up to the next house. But get in the game. Stop paying rent. You're just paying somebody else's mortgage.
Exactly. And if you look at that chart that we have, there's never been a 10-year window that property value has not increased. Never, since 1942. So if you take 10 years, now, if you're a flipper, well, that's something different. You're looking at these short windows. But most people who are buying a house, they're in a house for 10, 11 years. So there's never been, since 1942 to current, a 10-year window if you bought a house that your house didn't appreciate in value. So, and that's what people, when they see that kind of stuff, when I show that flyer to people, that is something that is so impressive to them. They look at it and they're just dumbfounded, like, wow, that this is crazy. and it's truly impressive when you actually see the numbers.
Absolutely. I look back, we have some data in MLS. I think it goes back like 45 years or 50 years. But it shows, the increase in real estate over time. You average 3 to 4% a year.
Right.
On average. And then, although the last 3 years, we probably went up about 36%.
Right.
A significant amount. Prices, for the most part, are holding steady. You do see some few percentage points less in Philadelphia County than in the suburban areas, just, based on Philadelphia.
Right. No, without question. Without question. Yeah, they're holding steady. And the projections now that they will, they'll go historically maybe 2, 3%, 4%, max going forward, because we had that real big bump in 2020, 2021. So now things will stabilize because, once again, it's affordability. And you're never going to get away from law of supply and demand. It's affordability, plain and simple. So if prices get too high and people can't buy, well, prices are going to have to come down. So right now they're going to start flattening out a little bit, and there'll be normal appreciation, until wages start going up dramatically. That's how it's going to have to be, or else people just won't be able to afford a house. So,
and wages have not went up dramatically over the last decade.
Well, we did. We did in 2020, 2021. We had nice jumps where they were, double digits, like, 10%, 11%, those kind of things. So we did have those nice jumps. Last year, I think.
Say wages.
Oh, wages. Oh, right. Well, yeah. Well, we had wages, but they're flat now. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, I misunderstood what you're saying. But yeah, without question, wages haven't. So now what has to happen is, because prices jump so much, wages have to catch up. We'll be flat or go up a little bit, 2, 3% for the next couple of years as wages start catching up.
I hope so, although I'm starting to see layoffs coming down the pike a lot of places.
No, without question. But yeah, and that's something what you see in real life and what the Fed and what you hear coming out, I think there is a little disconnect, without question, because everybody's, everybody seems to be hurting a little bit, because, like you said, you go to the grocery store and you spend $100, $150 and you have nothing. You have a little basket as opposed to a grocery, cart full. So without question. So, hey, only time's will tell. We will see how everything will progress. But I still think overall the housing market is in good shape.
Okay. Your 2024 predictions, Pat.
Okay. I think that housing prices will be flat to appreciate slightly. I don't really see a dip in it, especially if interest rates come down and stay down. I think the interest rates will probably range somewhere in between the maybe 6.25 to 7.25 range, because you always have, peaks and valleys when it comes. I think the eights are done. So I think with interest rates being in that, mainly in the sixes, maybe high sixes, mid sixes, that will get people off the sideline. I think people are used to the higher rates. They're not numb. In 2022, in the fall, people were numb. We went from 3% to 7%, and they were just taken back. They were numb. They were like, "Oh my God!" Well, they've been seasoned now. Like, they've been beat up a little bit. They're used to the seven, the 6, 7, and 8. So
it's an acceptance thing.
Correct. Exactly.
I've accepted the reality.
Absolutely. So I think there'll be more people in the market. I think it's still the biggest issue that is going to face buyers. So that's we're going to see how we're going to manage that part of it. Overall, I think transactions are going to end up being like 3.94 million this year. I think transactions will be probably closer to 4.3 to 4.5 million. So that will be a positive. And then on the real estate side, there's two sides of it. So, on the lending side, there's only one, but for the realtors, if there's 4.5 million, that's 9 million transactions, because you have the buy and the sell side. So I think it'll be a better year. I think there'll be people getting out of the market, especially with some potential changes with the class action lawsuits. I think it'll be thinning of the herd, which will help the pros who stay in. So that's pretty much where I'm seeing everything's going. I think overall it's going to be a better year.
Me too. I'm optimistic. Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole industry it's been difficult, but was at an event last night, and how many people are standing in the ballroom at the Bellevue Hotel?
Right.
Like, it ain't all that bad.
Exactly.
Perspective.
Exactly. And the reality is, I think there's too many loan officers, there's too many realtors. I think there's some people will come out, especially this year. By May, you have to pay you have to do your continuing ed, you have to stuff. So, people are going to turn around and not, pay that extra money. They'll reevaluate their situation. So, which will give the professionals who are in the business more business.
100%. That is generally what happens. We're at sitting, which is way too many.
Right.
We had it down to about 800,000 when by the end of 2010 or so.
Right.
Which was a good number.
Correct, because we're doing the same amount of transactions as 8, 9, and 10 we're doing now, and there was, like you just mentioned, 800,000, a million. So why are we at that 2 million number today? It's not warranted.
And some of the other things that are going on, they will have an impact on the licensee count for sure.
100%.
So,
yep.
All good.
Yep.
Moving on up.
Yep.
Matt, it was great to see you today. Thank you for being on Be the Solution podcast. I wish you a happy holiday season and look forward to seeing you in 2024 and good things to come for all of us.
Absolutely. And thank you for you having me on. Love being on your show.
Thanks, Pat.